And I'm like, oh, I'm going to Vietnam on a boat. And I'm like, what the heck is this LST thing anyway, you know? And then one of the guys took out a picture. He says, this is it right here. I'm like, oh, I think I screwed up.
Do you regret making that choice?
No. Nope, I'd do it all over again. Yeah, my name's Tom Strasberg, Navy vet, Vietnam. I was on LST 1150. It's a vintage World War II landing ship tank, they called it.
This was your ship?
Yep. This is out at, I think we're going to Qua Viet, to the rivers there on that one. We carried all kinds of troops, supplies, napalm, Agent Orange, tanks, jeeps, haul them up, and then a week or two later we'd go up, pick them up, and then haul whatever was left back. They had, a lot of times we'd bring back all the guys that got killed, and that was not a fun deal. We were always getting rocket attacks and small arms fire or stuff like that, you know. We took a lot of hits, ping ping all the time, so it was pretty interesting duty, to say the least. We were kind of home based out of Da Nang, and then we'd go up and down south and north out of there, up into the smaller rivers, places where some of them I remember, Qua Viet, Chu Lai, Vung Tau, those were all like Army Marine helicopter gunship bases, and we'd bring supplies into them, and then what they'd do is carve out a landing on the beach for us, and then we'd run up like here, and boom, and this deal would come down, and then we'd offload whatever we had, or then we'd load up whatever they wanted to be moved.
So you were supplying all the posts?
Yep. You might make a quick run up into the rivers for a week, or you might be up there for a month and a half. You know, it didn't, it all depended on what operation you were on, you know, what was going on. They sent me to Guam to pick up my boat in Guam. It was in dry dock. That was in December of '67. And then I think it was like a month later, we went to, with my broken toe, we had to go to Japan to pick up a bunch of supplies. And then we picked that up, turned around, and we went my first trip up into the Mekong Delta after that.
You weren't all new. Like, there were some guys on the boat who knew what they were doing, who'd been there.
Yeah, there was, I think there was me and maybe 3 or 4 other guys that were new. And the rest of the guys had already they'd been up in the Delta many times, you know, before I got there. So.
How many men were on that boat?
It varied, most of the time around 100 to 120 sometimes.
Oh, big boat.
Yeah.
Deck force, that would be the guys that worked on the deck, and then the guys that worked on the guns. There's some training when we're training guys how to shoot rifles and stuff.
So when you took that first trip from Guam and you're floating in the ocean and heading up there, did the guys who'd been there a little bit tell you, hey, this is it, you're going to see some gunfire?
Oh, yeah.
They warned you?
Yep. When I went in there, I started out training in gunnery, and the 2 guys that trained me were, well, one was a master chief gunner's mate, and the other one was a first class gunner's mate. And this is loading 40 millimeters that we used.
That was your job, was as a gunner?
Yep. I had to learn how to take care of all the guns on the 40 millimeters. We had 40 millimeters, 20s, 30s, 50 calibers. The big ones, like up here, those are 40 millimeters. We had that mount there, and then we had 2 in the back.
Did you also use them?
Oh yeah. Yep, we had training in there, and we used them all the time when we were up in the Delta. We used them many times. We'd get into these real bad areas. They'd usually have like either a PBR or a swift boat or something like that with us, plus usually a helicopter gunship.
What's a PBR?
That's a patrol boat river. It was probably the most used, meanest river boat patrol boat in the Vietnam War.
Have you seen Apocalypse Now?
Yes, many times.
Is
Similar.
Is that a PBR?
Yep, yep. PBRs were mean, boy. That's what my brother Jerry was on. He was on one of them.
He survived it.
He survived it, but the Agent Orange got him here a couple of years ago, so, yeah.
Do you remember the first, like, days in the Delta? The first time you heard gunfire?
Oh, yeah, yep. I was actually down in one of my jobs when I wasn't, well, I was a trainee then, so one of my jobs was a after steering watch, and that was in the rear of the boat, and you, what you did was you took over the ship by manual control in case you took a bad hit or something, they couldn't steer from the conning deal, so you'd have to do it by hand down in the back. And that's what I did. Me and another guy were down there. So I was down there the first time, and then we heard all this ruckus and general quarters and
What kind of ruckus?
general alarm deals,
So gunshots.
gunshots, explosions, you know, and everybody was running, and you know.
Were you worried?
Well, I said, like, boy, this is for real, you know. What the heck's going on here, you know? And we had our watertight doors, you know, and I had them bolted down, and we got a call from the conning tower from the officer of the deck saying that just to stand by because we were under attack. And it was mostly just small arms and some rocket attacks and stuff like that, but they took a lot of rifle hits on the side of the boat and on the conning tower and stuff like that. And so the guys were opening up with 50 calibers at that time. So it was pretty intense.
So you heard gunfire coming from the boat out into the jungle?
Yep. Yeah, we were in a bad spot there, and they opened up on us, and most of us they had these phony rockets. I can't remember what they called them, but most of the time they'd look like fireworks that went bad, you know, where they go up and shoo, shoo, you know, and they'd come up and they'd splash in front of the boat, you know, and stuff like that. This was later when I seen that stuff, but yeah, it was pretty.
But you were down below, so you didn't even see any.
No,
of
I
it.
didn't see it that first time. No.
You just heard this, and this was your introduction to.
Yep, me and the other guy that was with me, he was, well, they called his boot camps, you know, because we were new guys, and he was pretty intense. He's like, what are we doing? What if we get hit? What do we do, you know? I think we just stay here, you know, till somebody tells us something different, so, yeah.
Was that the right thing to do?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Just stay put?
You didn't leave your post, you know.
You didn't go and grab a gun and return fire?
Nope.
Because that wasn't your duty at the
That wasn't
time?
my duty at the time.
If you would have been on a gun, that would have been your duty.
Yep. I'd have been stayed there, which I did later. I was a port side 50 caliber was my spot, and so anytime we got action, I had the 50 caliber going. If I got fire from my side.
So you stayed put, kept steering.
Yep.
Did you when you're under fire? Do you gun it and get the heck out of there, or do you just stay the course?
No, they were probably had her going as fast as they could, which I think wasn't very fast, maybe 12 knots, 10 knots, something like that. It's a very slow moving boat, you know. So yeah, that's why it was such a big target, you know.
But it looks like a tank itself. So if you got rifle fire, was it like just BBs bouncing off?
Oh yeah, it was just pinging, you know. All
so
the
that
time.
wasn't something really to get too freaked out
No,
about.
no. Guys up on the conning, they were up in the open, you know.
Yeah, they could get killed.
And the guys on the 50 calibers and stuff in the forward and rear gun mounts, but they had a big steel ring around them, you know, as you can see here.
Yeah.
They had that around them, but when they start opening up, you know, you just have to try and stay behind there and hope that you didn't get hit, you know.
I'm trying to understand the enemy lines. This wasn't a clean
No, there
enemy
was
line like it
no,
was
there
in
was
World War II, or
no.
you know, there was no enemy line, was there?
The enemy was everywhere. Once you got into the Delta, no matter where you went, they were everywhere. You didn't know where they were. They had a pretty good surveillance deal. They knew kind of where the Viet Cong were at times, you know, in areas. So that's when we'd have those PBRs or gunships with us because they knew that was going to be a bad area.
So were they like your bodyguards, those PBRs?
Yeah.
So they kind of
Yep.
go out in front of you
Yep.
and clear out areas for you to go?
Yep. The Viet Cong didn't want to mess with them, any of them, because they had really wicked firepower, you know, and they could level a acre so fast it was amazing. And I see it many times. They just opened up and they had them what they call mini Gatling guns, and they just unreal.
Would they ever open up fire preemptively? Like, I think they're in there. Or did they always have to wait for there to be gunfire?
If they seen any suspicious action and nobody responded or something, you know, then they would just open up on them, you know. So and then we'd always be ready. A lot of times we'd return fire too, you know. What they like to do is get up in the big palm trees and stuff like that.
The gunmen.
Snipers, yeah.
Yeah.
They'd get up in there and then they get a better angle to shoot at you and everything. And so a lot of times if you'd seen a little puff of smoke and then them PBRs or the gunships would just open up on that spot and it was gone. It was pretty scary.
So if you're a sniper in a tree,
yeah,
you're gonna die because you're either gonna get hit or your tree's gonna fall
Yep.
down.
Yep, you get a couple shots off and they didn't see you. You know, that's what they were hoping, but they had too many eyes out there. You know, so everybody was on watch in different spots, and yeah, so it was many times they blew them right away. You know, it was pretty cool actually. When you'd get a lot of action like that, then they'd call up either like Green Beret or Special Forces or Army guys units or whatever, and then they'd come in because they knew there was a lot of VC in the area, so they'd go in there.
On land.
Yep, they'd bring the helicopters in, land them, and they go in there and then go after them, So I wouldn't want to have been up in there. I'll tell you that.
You wouldn't want to have been one of the enemy.
No, nope.
Because it's a high risk, low reward
Oh yeah.
attack.
Yep.
You're probably not going to do much,
Nope.
and you're probably going to die.
Nope. Their big deal was they were trying to hit the conning tower up there, where the officers were. That was most of the time where the shots were going, or they were hoping to hit, with the rockets and stuff, because that was the control point of the boat, so, yeah. And then they were real good at what they do is they dig holes in the river beds and cover, and they put barrels down there, and they'd stash ammunition and stuff in them. We found them lots of times. We'd haul like Special Forces guys up, drop them off, and they knew where there was a lot of EC in there, so they'd go up and down the rivers and they'd find these barrels hidden down in the mud and the dirt, covered up, and they were full of guns and ammo and rockets and stuff like that.
Was it all like Chinese and Russian made stuff?
A lot of that, yep.
So AK-47s
Yep.
and whatnot?
Lots of 47s, yeah. Yep.
And what would the Army do with those?
They just destroy them.
Just melt them or
Yep,
something?
yep. I don't know. They took them. We never.
You wouldn't say, hey, I want to use this.
No, good luck on that one.
No, that would, yeah. I
Yeah.
want to take that home. That's a souvenir.
Yeah. No, I never had no interest in that. But they had these sampans and junks running up and down the rivers, which we used to stop and check all the time.
What's up, Chief?
The junk boat, Captain. We're gonna take a routine check.
Well, let's forget routine now and let them go.
These boats are running supplies in this delta, Captain. I'm gonna take a look.
Chief, my missus got priority here. Hell, you wouldn't even be in this part of the river if it wasn't for me.
Until we reach your destination, Captain, you're just on for the ride. Stand by, lad.
Throw the rope,
asshole. All right, come on. Let's bring it over.
And some were hostile and
Oh,
some
yeah.
were just normal fisher.
But no, most
fishing.
time what they did was they were smuggling arms. They'd have ammunition and rifles and rockets and stuff like that they would smuggle down to the VC in different spots, So And then if we found any contraband on there, anything like that, then we'd call one of them PBRs or one of those types of boats, and then they'd come in and pick them up and take them away, take the boat, and usually they take the stuff off the boat and then sink it.
And what about the guy who was driving it?
The guys would be hauled away. They'd take them away. That happened quite a few times, actually.
They'd be POWs.
Yep. Yeah, they took them someplace, I don't know where, but they took them away from us, because we couldn't handle them. So, yeah, it was, I had seen that a lot of times.
Was that a fairly standard episode, the first one you experienced? Where you heard some explosions, heard some gunfire, it went on for what, just a few minutes? Several minutes?
Yeah, sometimes it would last half hour, 45 minutes, you'd kind of go through a long area and there might be sporadic fire.
So there must have been
there.
hundreds of Viet Cong
Oh yeah.
just dotted along the bank,
Yep,
hidden away.
That was their deal. They just get in ambush mode and wait for you to come through, and hope they could get a pot shot at you. That's they did the same thing with the PBRs, and the other smaller boats.
So it sounds like the PBR had a more risky job than
They were more
your
risky,
boat.
but they were more deadly. They were faster. They had more in that small little boat. They had twin 50s in there.
But their job was to escort you.
Yep.
So they weren't just going to tear off and leave you behind.
No, they would just, if they seen fire, they'd tear off and go after the fire close, open up, but then they'd come back and get us to wherever we were going.
Would they ever go behind you because your ship was like a block, and they'd stay behind you?
Yeah, these guys were crazy. They wanted to be up front. They wanted to be wherever the action was. They weren't like that. Sometimes they come up and you could see their PBR was all shot to hell. Those guys were really something.
They were hardcore soldiers.
Oh man, every day they had to face that. We only had to do it, every now and then we'd run into that. These guys are doing that every day. They were some bad dudes.
That's what I wanted to ask. I was like, different guys. I mean, the ones who enlist are more likely to, I assume, embrace combat. Like it might excite men.
Yep.
Some men. Whereas if a guy is drafted against his will and he has no interest in it, he might just be very afraid and I want off. I want out of here.
Yep, get a safe spot and stay away from everything. Yeah. There was some guys like that. They when everything started, they just bailed out and went down below decks. So I always stayed up. I was as a gunner's mate, I had to stay up on top. So I was either in gun mount or 50 caliber, and there was maybe another 4 or 5, 6 guys in the same spot. There, you just stayed there. You had to. If you didn't hold your post, you were probably gonna get a captain's mast and get maybe even get discharged or something for leaving your post. It's same as guys in the army and stuff. If you were on a post, you didn't leave it. I mean, that was your spot.
What happened if you had to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, tough. Just had to hold it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That happened many times. There's quite a few guys that probably peed their pants and stuff. Because you didn't have no choice. So you did not leave the post.
When there was a guy who just got freaked out and panicked,
That happened.
taking fire, and he did leave his post, or maybe he hid behind that steel shield and just sort of covered,
That happened too.
would he be reprimanded?
If he left his post, he would. But if he just kind of panicked, and stayed down out of everything, they would. They'd probably get a stiff talking to from his head petty officer or something like that. And a lot of guys were, and you couldn't blame them because it was a new thing, to be getting shot at, So
Yeah.
a lot of guys would panic and, like I say, try and get down and stay down. And they're supposed to be up there, maybe helping a guy on a 50 caliber holding the rounds as they go in and stuff like that, So, yeah, it was. I don't remember anybody ever getting disciplined, for being scared. Everybody was scared.
And that first attack, you were lucky
I was
because you were
bold.
down below and you were safe.
Yep.
Were you as lucky the next time, or were you more exposed?
No. Next time up there, I was actually a gunner's mate in training, so I was with another gunner's mate on a 50 caliber.
So like on top
Yep.
of the ship there.
Yep, right up on. I was up on the port side.
So you were as vulnerable as it gets.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Do you wear a helmet?
Yep. You had helmets on and flak jackets.
What's a flak jacket?
It was a heavy duty. The police wear them now. Flak jackets.
Bulletproof vest?
Bulletproof. Yeah, similar. These
Okay.
weren't that good, but they would stop around. You
Okay,
know,
from your vitals, but
yeah.
your arms and
Yep.
your neck is exposed.
Yep.
And
Just came over, just like the life vest. It was
Oh,
the same thing,
I
but
see.
it was real thick
Yeah.
stuff in there, and they were
Okay.
real heavy and hot. But you wanted to wear that when you're up on topside, So
And how did that attack go down when you were up there?
well, it was just a small skirmish. The first time we had just some sniper fire, up in different trees, and didn't have a gunship that time. We just had I think it was a Mike boat with us that time. And when that started, the Mike boat took off and just opened up into the trees, and boom, and that's all there was. We never heard any more fire, so evidently they must have got the snipers, So
How did you respond? That second time you were up top when you were under attack.
oh, I was nervous, I was like, holy buckets, this is really happening to me, I can't believe this.
And you're how old?
But well, see, I went in I think when I was right out of high school, so 18, 18, 19, someplace in there. Yeah.
Do you remember how you reacted, like what you did, your behavior when you were under fire?
No, I just held my post, like I was supposed to. That's all you could do, And you were trained to fire your weapon, whatever weapon you had, whether it was a rifle or a 30 caliber or 50 caliber or 40 millimeter, grenade launcher, whatever. You just held it,
And you did.
And you did, yeah.
So you were a good soldier.
Oh yeah, yep. That was that's what you did, You had to take care of your fellow sailors, So everybody did the same thing, It was just hang in there, That's all you had to do.
And you just pray you don't get hit.
Yep, that's it. Hope
What's-
one of them rockets or something don't land where you are, I actually had rockets hit the water in front of me and splash water on me that close. That happened a couple times. That was pretty scary, dripping wet, and it's like, boy, if that had been another 10, 15 feet, who knows,
The fire usually came in clumps, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
So when it was done and there was no more fire for a couple of minutes, you probably thought, okay, we're good for now?
Nope, you would be on general quarters until you were out of that area, and you just held that for a long time.
But you never knew when the next attack was going to
Nope.
happen. So
Well,
were
could
you
go,
always on edge?
Oh yeah, you'd go another half mile, maybe a mile, maybe a couple miles, 5 miles. But you stayed on general quarters and alert because it come around a bend and it could happen again.
And because you didn't know when they were going to attack, I mean, could you even get a good night's sleep?
Sleep was very rare when you're in combat zone. Most of the time you'd go in combat deals. You go 4 on, 4 off.
Okay.
You kept rotating.
Yeah.
So say like 15 guys, you'd rotate 4 on, 4 off. Go get 4 hours of shut eye, then you come back, rotate with the
Oh.
other guys. And
I thought you meant 4 days on, 4 days
no,
off.
hours. Just kept rotating. 4 on, 4 off.
And you would do that for as much as a month at a time.
Oh yeah, whenever you were in the bad areas, you would. If you were in general quarters, they always did that. Yep.
So if it was nighttime, it didn't matter.
Nighttime, you'd be on alert too, but most time at nighttime they wouldn't open up because that would really tell you where they were, because you could see it in the darkness.
Okay.
So, and the only time we did most of the nighttime deals when we were going in, like up into Cambodia and stuff like that, because we weren't supposed to be there. Cambodia was not was off limits actually, but it wasn't.
Do you remember the first time you saw either a Vietnamese dude, a North Vietnamese dude, or one of your...
Yes, I do. It's pretty interesting because we were in, I believe it was Vung Tau, And we pulled up to the landing, and we were offloading, I think we were offloading beer for them guys at the base there. Beer and some other stuff. And I was on the watch, walking up and down the side of the boat. Watch what the Viet Cong like to do is they'd send stuff down the river, you know, like garbage, you know, and then they would put these mines in there, and they'd hit the boats. You know, they actually I think had a couple LSTs that got hit and got sunk up in there. So what you did when you're on your watch, you had either, most time I had a M1 carbine,
Okay.
and then a 45, and then
Your rifle.
Yep, and then a grenade launcher, and you'd shoot percussion grenades. And if you seen a bunch of debris coming, you'd shoot a percussion grenade into that area as close as you could, and then usually that if there was something in there, it would poof, you know, she'd blow up away from the boat or stuff like that. But the first time I seen actual Viet Cong was this time. I was on the watch. I was walking up and down, and a PBR came in, and they had 6 Viet Cong prisoners on there. Had them all tied up and blindfolded, and the PBR pulled in right next to me. And I went up to the bow, turned around, I was coming back, and must have been some of that debris that came down, and it hit the back of that PBR and blew it. Everybody had just gotten off. There was one guy on there. And it blew the back right out. I seen it come right up out of the water. It's a great big boom. Of course, then general quarters, everybody on the land side, and our boat, everybody was on general quarters, you know. And but the guy that was on the boat, he got, you know, banged up a little bit, but he was okay. But yeah, but the PBR went up, came down, was kind of sitting halfway down in the water and out, you know, and it was kind of crazy. And when the explosion happened, they kind of knocked me back, you know, and I dropped my rifle, and I got up, and everybody was running and screaming, and yeah, it was pretty hectic.
Wow. Was that one of your closest encounters
That was probably the closest, because if they would have been, say, walked a little further down midships or something like that, if that wouldn't have hit the PBR, it would have probably hit our boat. So,
would it have done damage to your boat, or was your boat just indestructible?
No, it would have done damage. They put pretty good explosives in there. This PBR went right out of the water.
Did they get mad at you because you didn't detonate it when it was in the river?
No, because it happened when I was on another point. You know, you just went from one end of the boat to the other end boat, and then you.
How can you stay alert that whole time? You know, it sounds like you have to always be alert.
You do. You don't want to be daydreaming, you know.
Right.
You had officers of the watch, petty officers of the watch, usually a first class or a chief or somebody like that. And when you were on watch, they were on watch, so they would be walking back and forth, making sure that everybody's doing their jobs, you know.
They're on watch to make sure you're on watch.
Exactly. Yep.
So if you're sitting there lighting a cigarette and just twiddling your thumbs or sitting on the end of the dock,
you were going to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no, that didn't happen too much. You know. So no, when I was doing that, I was paying attention.
Was this on your first tour up into the Delta when that explosion happened?
No, that was maybe, I don't know, I think we'd been up there 3-4 times by then, so, yeah. This is actually the place where I told you that boat like this got blown up.
It was a boat like this?
Yep, got blown up out of the water.
What was the mission into Cambodia about?
It'd be usually what that was. We'd be taking special forces guys. I know one time we had these tunnel rat guys on board, and we were bringing them up to meet some PBRs or Mike boats. I don't remember which it was. Way up by one of these little deltas. We hauled them up, dropped them off, and then they went way up in there to check out this area where they were supposedly. The Viet Cong had all these tunnel deals going, and these guys were, they were something else. Oof.
What did they do?
They just go up in there with a 45 or a knife, and they crawl into these holes and go and see if they could flush them out.
Yeah, these guys didn't. These guys didn't say a word. They. I mean, I never talked to any of them. They wouldn't talk to you. They just sat there and stared at you. You know, they never said nothing.
These were Americans.
Oh yeah, yeah. We called them tunnel rats. You know, they were goofy. But
Why? They just had a high tolerance for risk?
oh yeah, I mean, I was just think about that. Would you want to go crawl into a hole and see if there's, you know, Vietnamese or Viet Cong down in there? You
How
know?
did they find volunteers for that?
Well, special guys that did it. You know, just crazy guys.
So they would engage in hand-to-hand.
Oh yeah, that was all hand to hand, and they go through them tunnels and booby traps, and of course they went intense training, you know, to figure all that out. But
Were you all paid the same?
oh, I have no idea what everybody was paid on their rate. You know, you were like E1s, E2s, E3s, E4s, everything had a different rate, different amount of.
So if you're a private tunnel rat, you're getting the same pay as a private
Probably.
Navy guy?
Yeah, probably. Yep.
That doesn't seem...
Yeah, you didn't get anything special money wise just because you were
No hazard
high
pay?
risk. I mean, you know, it's just like the Green Berets or the SEALs. You know, they all get paid the same. You know, just they're just special people that can handle that kind of stuff. You know, myself, I can't imagine doing it. The tunnel rat deal, that to me was just like wow.
Because they would kill a man face to face.
Oh yeah, many times or get killed. You know, a lot of times they didn't come back.
Right. I mean, were you ever there when they would go on an assignment and not come back, so you knew they died?
This one time we brought them up, we just dropped them off, and then we didn't have to pick them up. So I don't know what happened to them. That was the only time we really carried them guys. You know, but we had a lot of like Green Berets, Special Forces guys that we'd haul up, and then we'd go back and pick them up. You know, say in a week or 4 or 5 days or whatever, and they'd have, you know, casualties. You know, guys would be wounded, or there'd be a couple body bags that you had to load on, and you know, so they'd hit some stuff. You know.
Did you ever see a fellow soldier on the boat get hit?
Nope.
Oh, really?
Nope. I seen them, you know, get shots and guys ducking, and you know, heard the rounds hitting stuff. You know, but nobody got hit.
Wow.
While I was there. No.
Do you remember the first corpse you saw?
Yeah, we picked up on that marking time deal. What we had to do is they'd have skirmishes, you know, maybe a day or two before we got up there, and then what you had to do is went up and down the rivers, and then if you seen bodies, you had to fish them in. If they were Viet Cong, you just pushed them aside, you know, look for dog tags. Mostly just looking for Americans or South Vietnamese. And if you found any South Vietnamese, then you would have to fish the body out. They'd bring it in and put it in a bag, and then we'd bring it to the base when we got back, and then they'd take care of it. So we had to do that quite a bit.
How did you know it was South Vietnamese or North Vietnamese?
They didn't until you hauled it in, and if you didn't find any dog tags on them, you just pushed it away.
Did the North Vietnamese dress a certain way? Was there a...
No, they all dressed pretty same, you know, real flimsy. There wasn't much to them. They had shorts or real baggy pants, you know, and flimsy shirts, and you know.
There was no uniform for the North and one for the South.
No, none of the guys we did. I'm sure they had uniforms, but we didn't find any like that. They just looked like civilians, what they looked like, you know. They might have been, you know, if you didn't find dog tags on them. So, yeah. Now who's calling? Telemarketer. Yeah.
So you'd just see bodies in the water.
Yep, you'd see bodies floating, and there'd usually be full of like crabs, you know, sometimes snakes and crabs in there, and we had these big long gaff deals we used, and we'd, you know, get in LCMs, which is a little boat that we had on both sides. They'd put them in, they go down there, fish it out, you know, see what it was. If they had dog tags or whatever, then it'd have to go into a body bag.
Okay, I was going to say, what'd you do with the body then?
Yeah, put it in a body bag and then put down in the front of the boat down here.
Was there a line distinguishing North from South Vietnam at the time?
I think there probably was, but it was hearsay probably, you know. We didn't have to go. We knew when we went to this area, Cambodia, that that it wasn't. We were over the line. We knew that.
Yeah, you were in
but
another
where
country.
the actual line was, I have no idea.
But I mean, when you were in South Vietnam, so when you were way down by the Delta, were you safer than when you were venturing up further north? Like the further north you went, was it the more dangerous?
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. Because a lot of times you're going up in areas where maybe they hadn't done exploring there, you know, to see if there's Viet Cong strongholds or whatever, you know. So yeah, it was a little hairy.
And the whole purpose of the war was to clear Vietnam of the communists.
Yep.
So it was to take back Vietnam, the whole country.
Yep, exactly. Well, you know, the French had tried, you know, before us, you know, and they were there a long time and they failed. So, you know, if the United States, in my opinion, would have done it different, they could have probably won that war. You know, when they started the bombing, you know, of Hanoi and all that stuff, they really almost had the Viet Cong at their mercy, but then they quit because of all the bad home press, you know, like say killing of civilians and babies and whatever, and that, you know, Johnson just couldn't handle it, so he put an end to it, and that gave the Viet Cong a second chance to regroup, and then they came back really strong, and they came back over through Saigon and all that.
Yeah.
Yep. It was a political, you know, big political war, really.
Yeah, because you hear about the civilian casualties in Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
You hear about it in villages inland.
Yep.
Clearing out a village. You know, it's sort of...
My Lai was a prime example of real bad stuff there, you know, so, yeah.
So you'd hear stories of guys on those PBRs, though, they would open fire on a village, and if they killed a child, they killed the child.
If they got any fire from shore, they just opened up.
No matter if there was kids and women?
Yeah, well, that's what the Viet Cong like to do, is have the villagers out there and use them as shields, you know. So they'd have them out, and then they'd open fire, you know, so the guys didn't really have...
Would they just open fire, or were they like aiming? Were they aiming for the bad guys?
Wherever they seen either gunfire or rockets or you know, people were running or whatever, they had to assume it was the enemy, you know. So you know, this is what the guys are telling me. You know, you have no option. That's where a lot of this baby killer and all that stuff came from, you know, because people didn't realize what was involved in this kind of action and warfare. You know, it was bad. It's kind of like the what the guys nowadays in Iraq and Afghanistan have to deal with. You know, the civilians, most of them, excuse me, are good, but you got them that they you know, they cover up with bombs, you know, on their clothing, just to blow people away. You know, so it's a bad deal. Vietnam wasn't really like that. We used to go to Da Nang Air Base all the time from where we put into the harbor, and then we get to go up to the air base, and they had a Air Force base up there. Then we got to go up there to a big mess hall, you know, and they had beer and everything up there. So, but we'd have to go through these villages going up there, and you always carried arms with you. You know, and never got attacked all the times we went up there, but you had to be prepared for it, you know, so, yeah, it was different.
Was it frustrating because you couldn't tell a Hmong from a South Vietnamese from a North Vietnamese?
Oh yeah, they all looked the same.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we, you know, yeah, they all looked the same to me, you know, so.
And how were you received? Like when you guys floated through a village?
Probably the same, you know.
Or did the civilians look at you and like, were they like, we don't like you, you're our enemy, you
both,
bring
you
death?
know, you could tell right away if they were friendly, you know, and a lot of them knew what the Americans were there for, you know, but a lot of them, you know, kind of treated you like you were just like the Viet Cong, maybe just not as bad, you know, because of all the atrocities and everything that had happened, you know. So, so it's hard not to think that way, you know.
Would you ever hear things yelling out to you from the shore?
Oh yeah, we'd go through and you could hear them talking, you know, they're talking real loud, you know. What they were saying, I have no idea.
Would you ever see kids like yell out to the Americans, or?
Oh yeah, they would.
"Whoa, it's American." They
Oh,
might even wave.
Oh yeah, they'd wave, you know, and you'd hear throw me chocolate or throw me cigarettes.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, we go through them villages when we went to Da Nang. They would just be on you. The kids would come out of everywhere, and they'd come up and they'd try, and they were good. They could slip a ring or a watch off your hand. You couldn't believe how fast they were.
Would they ask for donations?
Oh
asking
yeah,
for
yeah, begging
dollars?
all. Oh yeah, begging all the time.
Would
yeah.
you have American dollars, or would you have Vietnamese
No,
dong?
we had what they called MPC, military payment certificates.
Okay.
And it was just fake money. So when you went to a base or whatever, it would be the same. So if you had a $10 one, you could get $10 worth of stuff with it. You didn't usually have any American money with you.
Well, what if you wanted to? What if you were hanging out in a village and you just wanted to buy a soda from a village?
That never happened. I never got into that situation. But yeah, usually if you had, they wanted cigarettes, you know, stuff like that. If you had cigarettes, they could trade cigarettes for, you know, something to drink or whatever, you know. They liked the cigarettes, American cigarettes. Everybody had cigarettes on them, you know.
So you picked up smoking in the Army?
No, I tried, I'm gonna say maybe a month and a half I tried smoking, which I never had done in my life. And just because of all the hectic stuff going on all the time, you know, and it's like, well, I'll smoke, you know, maybe it'll relax me, you know. So, but anyway, I had a real bad experience where I got up one time, go to the head, and I felt like I was going to throw up, and I went in there, and this great big green gob come up full of blood, and that was it for me. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore, so I never smoked again after that.
And
Other than marijuana, and we smoked marijuana darn near every day. I mean, that's what you did.
Oh, that was.
Yeah, oh yeah, marijuana was just everywhere. Yeah.
And the captains didn't look down
No,
on
no,
it?
you didn't want to do it. You had to do everything, you know, on the sly. But they knew you were doing it, you know, as long as it didn't get out of hand, you know. But if you got caught, you know, you'd probably gotten a captain's mast, you know, got written up or busted, you know.
So would you just have it in a joint?
Yeah, most of the time they were joints, or you get these guys that we'd carry all these Army and Special Forces guys, and everybody that came aboard, they always had bags, you know, marijuana and stuff on them. And
Somehow get papers?
yeah, you just, oh yeah, they have papers. You could just, you know, they'd want to trade for, you know, say Coke or beer or whatever you had, you know.
Coke soda or cocaine?
Coke, no Coke, sodas.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we did that a few times. So yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Did it ever impact your duty?
No, not really. I never did any of that smoking when I was on duty, you know.
Okay.
This time I'd be off duty.
Oh, so no one would be on their gun smoking a joint?
No, I never seen that. That would be foolish,
Yeah.
you know, to do that. If guys probably did it, but I never seen anybody do it. I never would.
Did you smoke marijuana in high school?
Nope.
So
Never
the first-
even knew what marijuana was till I got to Vietnam.
And then you got high and you thought, this is all right.
Yeah, it took all your stress away for a while, you know, and you didn't have a hangover or nothing. We had, if we weren't in the combat area on Sundays, they'd have a beer call, and you could get 3 beers, and that's all you were allowed. Yeah, but guys would trade. There's guys that didn't drink beer, you know, so you could trade and get a pretty good buzz going, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering about the culture on the ship. With 100 guys, you said there was 100 guys?
Yeah, over
Maybe
100
more?
guys. Yep.
And was it diverse, or was it mainly white dudes?
Oh, we had every color on there. We had lots of blacks, lots of Mexicans, lots of Filipinos that were actually in the U.S. Navy. They were like, they worked in the galleys and for the captain and stuff like that, you know.
Native Americans?
Yeah, we had some Native Americans on there. Yeah.
And would they all kind of group up in their own
Oh yeah.
color?
Yep. Yep.
So the blacks would hang out. And,
Oh yeah. The blacks were probably the worst. Most of them, but I had two of my best friends were color guys, really nice guys, and yeah, they were. But when they get all together, it was a different deal, you know. So.
Why? What was the difference?
Well, they had their own thing, you know, and.
So when you say they're the worst, you mean they were like the most segregated? They'd
Yeah.
be the tightest?
Yep, when they'd get together, then it would be, you know, if you were a white guy and tried to get in amongst them, it usually didn't happen. It's like, get out of here, whitey, you know, or they'd give you a bunch of foul language, you know, and stuff, you know, so, yeah. But most of them were really good.
Yeah.
I had no problem with them, you know.
Yeah, I've often thought like there's two great equalizers in the U.S. military and sports.
Yep,
When you really don't care about race,
yep.
because you're really all on the same team. You're all
Oh,
rooting for
yeah.
the same cause.
Yeah, you, in Vietnam, you know, you could be one day have a colored guy next to you, the next day could be a Mexican guy or a Filipino or a South Vietnamese, you know. You didn't know. So, yeah, if you were a real prejudiced person, you weren't going to last too long, you know. So I was never like that, I'm proud to say, so.
There wasn't a lot of room for racism, was
No,
there?
not really.
You
Nope.
couldn't afford to be racist.
Nope. Nope. No,
Did you run into racist guys though?
Oh yeah, yep. I run into more problems if we were on R&R. Sometimes we'd go into the wrong bar,
Okay.
you know, and it would be predominantly colored bar, you know, and so you go in there and it's like right away, what are you doing in here, whitey, you know? So it was like, we're gone. Turn around and leave. Yeah.
Was the draft instituted in the 60s?
Yeah. Yep.
So a lot of these guys they're not of their own will.
No, most of the guys that were in there were drafted, you know.
Yeah. Were some of them just pissed to be there?
Oh yeah, a lot of them didn't agree with what was going on, and yeah, there was a lot of belly aching, you know, about the circumstances, and rightfully so.
So would the captains ever say like, look, I know not all of you guys are happy, but darn it, it's our duty and we're going to do this?
Exactly. Yep. Oh yeah, we used to get them pep talks all the time, you know.
Was there ever any dissension about, or even skirmishes or fights amongst the crew members?
Oh yeah, that happened every now and then, you know. And the deal was you'd go down to the bottom. This was all done on the sly, but you'd go down and if you had a beef with somebody, you'd say, all right, I'll meet you down the tank deck, and you go down there and duke it out. That happened lots.
What were the main reasons for that?
Yeah, and it could be anything. Guys working together didn't like each other, or guys said something bad about a guy, or whatever. They, you know, and I think the officers, well, I know they did because I talked to them at our reunions, and they, you know, at that time, these two guys went down. Oh yeah, we know all about that. We just stayed away. Let you guys figure it out, you know. So.
Was the dissension usually something like every day? Like it had nothing to do with, say, religious differences or political differences or racial
No,
differences?
it
It was more
wasn't,
like you just said something bad about
Yeah,
me, or you stole
pissed
some of
the
my
guy,
cigarettes.
pissed the
Or,
guy off, or you said something like you didn't like the way he did stuff when he was on duty or whatever, and I got back to him, so then there'd be confrontations, you know, and so down the mess deck or the tank deck they'd go, you know,
Yeah.
duke it out.
so there was some gossip. There was
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah, it's normal deal, you know. I mean, it's just human nature. Everybody, you know, it all comes to a peak at a time, you know. So, what are you gonna do?
Did you see like problems happen when, even when you were on duty, but someone had too much to drink on the ship? And so there'd be drunkenness and sickness and
Oh, yeah.
fighting because of that?
You had when you got go on Liberty, so you get to go on ashore, you know, go to bars for, like if you were in Guam or
Yeah.
Philippines or Hong Kong or
Yeah.
Okinawa or something like that, you got a day's liberty or whatever, so you got
Right.
to go over there, and of course everybody usually got drunk, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them come back and they were pretty tough shape, you know, so.
Yeah. I mean, like when you were in your boat, like would there ever be?
No.
So they didn't give out any alcohol
No,
when
you
you're
only-
on your boat?
Nope, you only got the beer ration on Sunday mornings, and it had to be in a non-combat area thing.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So guys were usually had their head on straight in the
Oh yeah,
boat.
yep. Yeah, if you got caught, drinking or during regular working hours or smoking weed or whatever, doing drugs, if you got caught, you got busted big time. So.
But there was weed being smoked on
Oh
the
yeah.
ship.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't they smell it if you were in your dorm?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty potent.
Most of the guys would sneak down the tank deck because it was wide open. They had these ventilation deals going, so it wouldn't be, so bad.
Mm.
Yeah. Everybody had their little cubby holes. They'd go up and hide in a gun mount or something there out in the open and smoke their weed, or whatever. And yeah, that was a common occurrence. I found ways to do it.
If you were if you were just in sort of a downtime, so there was no gunfire, would guys just play cards or
Oh, yeah.
dominoes or?
Yep, all that stuff. You always had card games going. A lot of the colored guys, especially, always played dominoes. Games. Smear was a big one, and
What's that?
card game smear.
Okay.
Or cribbage, canasta, all card games.
For money or just for fun?
Oh yeah, most guys played for
The military notes?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was going on all the time. Yeah, they had movies on there. We'd have movies just about every night, but they most of the time would be something you'd seen 10 times already. But it was something to do.
Did you have your own room, or you
No,
had?
everybody was in. You had like let's see if I think it was. Let's say it was 12 bunks, I think, in a
Okay.
compartment.
Okay.
And then your compartments were all sealed off with watertight doors, so when you were off duty, you were in that compartment. And if you got up to go to the head of the bathroom, then you'd go out and you'd have to dog the doors behind you. That was in case you got attacked and water came in, that compartment wouldn't get flooded or.
And that was to keep the boat afloat?
Yep.
Was there an on-boat chaplain?
We had a guy that they kind of called a chaplain, but he wasn't a rated priest or minister or anything like that. We had one corpsman on board.
What?
A corpsman. He was like the doctor of the boat.
Oh.
He was just a corpsman. He wasn't a trained doctor. He went to corpsman school and all that stuff. But yeah.
And then was there a cook?
Yep. There was cooks. Actually, did that for a little while, and then.
You did that?
Yep. I had, they call it mess duty. When I had the broken toe, they put me in there because they figured I could do the mess duty deal. Basically, scrubbing up the big pots and all the trays and all that stuff, But everybody had to do a little of the old mess duty,
Was the food good enough?
Oh, food was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, we had great cooks on there.
Eggs and
Yeah.
potatoes
and everything.
that kind of thing?
You get steak every now and then, and they'd have a lot of stuff, like the shit on the shingle, they called it, chip beef and a
Okay.
cream sauce on bread,
Okay.
and stuff like that, that's pretty common. Chili, they know we had good breakfast, good food.
Did you stay out of trouble like with fights and stuff, or did you ever
No,
get into a
I
fight?
got in a few of my own deals there. I only had to do one captain's mast, and I didn't get busted, but I got extra duty. Me and this other guy that was actually in Japan. We were coming back and stayed too late, and we got on a military bus that picked you up, took you back down to the piers from the downtown area, and me and this other guy I run into, he's actually from Bemidji. I went to high school with him, and we run into each other in a bar in Yokosuka, Japan. But anyway, we got together, and then we decided to carry it on, so we got this bottle of Japanese sake, and we were drinking that on the bus, and they stopped at a stop, and the MPs came on. Well, they caught us with with the sake, so I ended up having to go to the captain's mess, and I got, I don't know, a couple days of extra duty for that. You know, that was probably about the worst thing I ever did.
Did you ever get into a fist fight with anyone?
Oh yeah, I got in fights a couple times. Yeah, I did one or two down there in the tank deck.
What about?
You know, somebody just being a smart ass or whatever, you know, like, yeah, I'll see you down the tank deck there, you know.
Were you did you get into fist fights in high school? Were you a scrapper?
Oh yeah, I was a scrapper in my day.
So that was fine by you. If you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
go down there and get into a little
Oh, yeah.
fisticuff,
Yep.
let's do it.
Yep, we did it.
How did they turn out?
I come out smelling like rose both times.
Oh,
Yeah.
good boxer, huh?
Well, I was a wrestler in high school, you know, so I had I knew how to take guys down if they were, you know, quicker and better puncher or whatever. I did swoop in, take them down. And, yeah.
Do you remember what it was about?
No.
You don't.
Somebody just being smart ass saying something that you didn't like. So I was like, oh, all right, I'll see you down there. Okay.
That's just part of the life, part of the
Oh,
culture.
yeah, you had to relieve tension, you know. It's
What about sexual tension?
well, we got to go when we got these R&R deals, you know. That was when you got over and got to find the gals, you know. And every place you went, there was bars just everywhere and full of girls. You know.
They were there to make money.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
In any port,
Just
in
there.
any country.
Yep.
So when you went to like Okinawa or Hong Kong, and you,
Oh, yeah, that
you
was-
went to these places where there were bars and women and stuff.
Everywhere. One of my girlfriends in Japan. There's another one there. That was in Taiwan. No, that was in Hong Kong there.
So yeah, it was just a normal part of it too. So just like marijuana was something new to you,
Yep.
was that new to you too?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd never been with a woman for sale, say, you know, till I got service, you know.
Was that a strange experience for you?
No, it was actually pretty enlightening. I enjoyed it. You know, it was different culture and everything. You know, you'd get with the Japanese girls or the Chinese gals. You know, and it was different. You know, they were different. Beautiful.
They knew what they were doing.
Oh yeah, beautiful girls.
Were you worried about getting an STD or something?
Oh yeah, everybody got a little dose of the stuff. You know, yeah. You got that when you were on leave, and then if the corpsman turned you in, which he had to, then you automatically got 2 weeks restricted to the boat where you couldn't go.
Why was it against the rules?
Well, yeah, you were supposed to. The girls were supposed to have papers that said that they were clean, but they'd forge them. You know.
So why were you in trouble?
You were supposed to be more careful, or
You screwed up.
Yeah, or use your brain, you know, and not your little brain.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so they want you to stay celibate? Is that the thing?
No, they just wanted you to use. They'd give you rubbers, you know.
Yeah.
Every time you would go hit the port, and you're going ashore, there'd be a big box of rubbers right there as you left, and you were supposed to take them. If you didn't, and then you ended up getting
Oh.
the disease,
What if you said, but I used one and I got it
it
anyway?
didn't matter.
If you caught a disease, you were going to get punished.
You were going to get 2 weeks restriction.
Well, why did you tell the corpsman that you had it?
Because you couldn't stand it. You'd get the what we called the drips,
Yeah.
and it was pretty irritating. And you could, if you let it go, it got worse. So some guys did let it go, and they got really bad, and then they really got in trouble. So.
Because they were out of commission for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And that put the ship in jeopardy.
Yep. So no, it was just part of the life, you know.
Yeah. Would you ever find the same woman?
Yeah, we'd a lot of times, like we go to the Philippines, and then we'd go back to Vietnam, and then maybe come back to the Philippines, you know, a couple months after that. And if I had a really nice gal, I'd go back to the same place to try and find her. You didn't always find the same one, but a lot of times you did.
Would you go to the brothel, or would they just come out to the bars to meet you guys?
No, you just go in the bars, and they were in there. I mean, you would go in there, and there'd be 20 tables, but most of the tables had 2 or 3 girls sitting on them, or there'd be a big bar or chairs alongside the wall, and it'll be full of girls, you know, so you could just kind of go do your pick.
You didn't have a sweetheart back home?
Off and on. Yeah, I had one when I left, and then she moved to Michigan. We broke up, and then when I came home and leave, I got together with one of my older girlfriends for a while, and then went back, and then she got married while I was gone. So, yeah.
Would you stay in touch, just handwritten letter?
Oh yeah, yeah. I got lots of letters all the time from.
So you got a Dear John letter?
Basically, yeah, yeah.
Would having a sweetheart back home affect your activity on shore with the ladies?
Yeah, you'd be. You got Dear John letter, which lots of us got them.
Right.
You'd be depressed for quite a while. You know, it was a hard thing. You know, because you didn't like where you were at.
Yeah.
Too far from home, you couldn't do nothing, and you know, and then you get something like this, and then you know, it made going to the bars where the girls were a lot easier. Yeah, you didn't know, you know, if it was going to be your last time or whatever. So everybody did their, not everybody, but majority of the guys did, you know.
Yeah. So, where's this?
That's in the Philippines, Subic Bay.
And what would a Filipino guy like that think of all the Filipino women going for the Americans?
He was probably their pimp. So he was getting a percentage, so they were real friendly.
Had you been with a woman before you went to Vietnam?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
go there as a virgin and then
No.
have your first time be with a
No.
Asian woman?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was first time with an Asian woman, but it wasn't my first time with a woman.
I bet for some guys it was.
Oh yeah, lots of them. Yep, lots of them were like nervous wrecks the first time they went. You could see that they'd never been with a girl before, you know. And these girls were out there. They were pretty free.
Yeah, and they were like showing a lot of cleavage.
Oh yeah,
and-
they showed you everything, whatever you wanted to see. If you want to check them out, they're like, oh, that'd be 5 peso or you know.
Mhm.
5 MPC,
Mhm.
you get look, and okay, you
Mhm.
know. So that was a common deal.
Did some guys like take it to the next level and like hire like 2 or 3 women at once and just have a party?
Oh yeah, I think that went on. I never did that, but I heard rumors of guys getting in group things. And
Where would you go to and get to have sex?
well, if you had where the girls were in the bars, they always had a motel or a place in the back or wherever you could go.
Okay.
Basically, it'd just be a room with a cot or something in it, you know.
Mhm.
And you go in there and what they call short times,
Mm-hmm.
short timer they call it.
Mhm.
They're just in there, wham bam, and goodbye.
So you didn't like fall asleep in each other's arms.
Oh no,
It was not a romantic
Nope.
endeavor.
nope. Some of them guys, probably the guys like you said that hadn't been with a girl before, they got the first one and they were in love, you know.
Mm.
And them girls just milked them big
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Oh boy, they'd peel out their whole payday, you know, to them. And payday wasn't big back in those days. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't that much.
So you knew some guys walking around the ship.
Oh
as a
yeah,
joke?
they were like they wanted to go on Liberty, but they didn't have no money, so they were like borrowing, trying to sell you their watch or, you know, all kinds of stuff they'd try and get you to buy so they could get some money and go on the beach again, you know.
Would they ever try to talk to women and say, "Come on, I don't have any money, but
Oh
come
yeah,
on," and then
No,
they were
them
like,
girls,
"Sorry,
yeah,
no money, no honey."
Nope, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
If it did, I never knew of anybody, you know. So.
They were businesswomen.
Oh yeah, yeah. They were there for one purpose and one purpose only.
Would soldiers ever fight over the same girl?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jeez, that was all the time. That was the time you'd see 2 guys trying to get the same gal, and pretty soon the fists were flying and they were rolling on the floor, and you know, then all you had to do is say that the MPs were coming, you know, or the shore patrol, and everybody'd bail out, you know, because you didn't want to get in the brig, you know, and go back to the boat with that hanging on you, you know. So yeah.
Did none of the soldiers use condoms?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them didn't. Some were lucky they didn't get anything, but a lot of them did. You know, usually you'd go in there and you'd get
Yeah.
really tipsy, you know, and then you might use it starting out and then say, oh, to hell with this, you know, and then,
Well, a lot of women must have gotten pregnant.
well, I'm sure they did. I never heard of anybody getting pregnant, but I'm sure it happened.
Was there, when guys were on the ship, was there ever any homosexuality?
never seen it. No,
Never heard of it?
no. Nope. We knew we had certain guys that how would I put this? They didn't go with the rest of the guys. You know, when you went to Liberty and stuff, they'd go off on their own, and you never seen them in the bars or with girls. Everybody's like, he's a homo, you know. Keep him away from me, you know, that type of deal. I'm like, whatever, each their own. Didn't bother me. So.
Did some guys have wives back home, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
they were faithful?
Oh yeah, lots of guys did. Well, there was a couple guys that had wives that I never ever seen them in the bar with the girl. They'd go to the bar, but never have a girl with them. Just go drink, you know.
So they would stay faithful.
Yeah.
It appeared.
Oh yeah, there's
And,
lots of them like that.
And there were probably a few religious guys that looked down on
Oh
it.
yeah, we had lots of religious guys. You never, when you're around certain guys, you had to really watch your tongue, you know, because Navy guys were real bad with the language, you know.
Yeah, you might describe a woman graphically. and
Oh yeah,
Whatever.
It was, yeah.
When a guy lost his virginity, did he come back to the ship and everyone congratulated him?
Most time the guys didn't want you to know that they were virgin, but
Oh.
we knew they were, you know. So when they came back, you could see the difference in them, you know, real fast.
Oh,
It's like, oh yeah, oh Harry, you got lucky.
how could you tell?
Well, they were just their attitude, you know. They were all cheerful and bouncing around and talking about the girl, and
Okay.
I can't wait to get over there again, you know. So before that, they never said nothing, you know. So you knew. Yeah, it's pretty easy to read, actually, you know. A lot of guys might have been with girls before, but they never had sex with them, you know, at home, you know. So they get to these places and they find they got sex, you know, and it's like, holy buckets, this is really something, you know. Should have did this before, you know. There's a lot of them like that. I enlisted for 4 years, and when I was in boot camp, I think it was my 4th week, and most of the guys that went with me were Minnesota guys. We had some guys from the south there too, but they called all the Minnesota guys all together one morning, and I don't know, there's maybe 10 of us or 12, I don't know, but and they said, when we call your name, step forward. We're going to read a deal off of this orders here, and you can say yes or no, and that's all we want to hear. Well, like, well, what the heck's this all about? Well, what happened was they had so many guys trying to get out of having to go in the Army or the Marines, because Vietnam was really getting hot then, and they were getting overflow, so everybody was trying to get in the Navy. So they had...
And you enlisted in the Navy?
Yeah, I enlisted when I was in 11th grade. I went in on a buddy system with 4 other guys.
So you weren't drafted?
Nope, I enlisted. Yep.
Up here in Bemidji?
Yep, went enlisted in 11th grade. My brother at Jerry, who's passed away now 3 years ago, he was there then. And so I decided that I wanted to go too. So
Where was your boot camp?
Boot camp was San Diego.
Oh. So they called all the Minnesota guys?
Yep, and they said, okay, here's the deal. So you guys have 4-year enlistments. If you would like to do a 2-year enlistment instead, step forward or say yes, and then step forward. If not, just stay where you are, you know. So I'm like, well, that peak boot camp was pretty bad, you know, and I'm like, holy buckets, 2 years, I'm going for this, you know.
You enlisted because you were eager to join,
Yeah.
and now you're eager to get out.
Yeah, I'm like, boy, only 2 years, you know, I can handle this, you know.
Boot camp
So,
changed your mind a little, huh?
Believe it or not, there was me and 3 other guys, the only ones that stepped forward. The rest of them stayed.
Were they suspicious? Like,
Yeah,
what do you
well,
got to do for 2 years?
They were smart, because what they didn't tell you when that was all over, that anybody that took that 2 years was automatically going to Vietnam. Your orders were, when your orders were done in boot camp at the end of your 9.5 weeks or whatever it was, then you knew you were going to Vietnam.
And the other guys?
The other guys went to other places. So,
Anywhere.
Anywhere,
They could have went
yeah.
to a base in Europe for all you knew.
yep, a lot of them went to West Coast, you know, or Europe, or
Although maybe not as many Navy guys. in
aircraft
Europe.
carriers, you know,
Yeah.
big cruisers and stuff like that, you know. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to Vietnam on a boat, and I'm like, what the heck is this LST thing anyway, you know? And then one of the guys took out a picture. He says, "This is it right here." I'm like, oh, I think I screwed up.
Do you regret making that choice?
No, nope, I'd do it all over again. It was met really great guys, and it was just something I'd do again in a heartbeat. Would not even think twice.
Even though you saw carnage.
Oh yeah, it's like, well, no, any place you go, you could have seen that, you know. So it was, yeah, I'd do it again. Yeah.
So gosh, you had all these experiences with these guys. I mean, that really builds the camaraderie.
Yep.
So was there a part of you that was sad when your 2 years ended?
Yeah, yeah. I really hated. I actually, let's see. I got out in September '69, and I was what they call a third class gunner's mate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took my test for second class gunner's mate. I passed that, but my tour of duty was up. But the XO actually called me in. This is like maybe a month or 2 months before I was supposed to get out, and offered me a re-enlistment package, $10,000. You got your next rate, and you got your choice of tour of duty for a year, but you had to re-enlist for 4 more years. And I thought about it, but I was like, no, I don't want to do this for another couple of years. I'm getting out of here, you know. So I did $10,000 back in 1969 was a lot of money, you know.
Was that the salary or was that just a bonus?
That was just like a bonus, you
Oh.
know. You'd had taxes and everything, of course, taken out of it. I had a couple guys that did it. I didn't, but
So when your tour was done, you just gathered your things off your boat, and then then you went to the airport and flew home. Or?
yep. I went to in Guam. I got off my boat in Guam, and then I took a one of the big Air Force cargo planes. I can't remember what they call it, a C something big cargo type boat, and they had like six seats on there, you know, that you could non-crew member seats.
Were you the only one on your ship that was going away at that
No,
time?
there was a couple of us got discharged at the same time. We
So that's why they took a trip to Guam just for you guys?
no, we just happened to be in Guam for repairs on the boat,
Oh.
and that just happened to be one of my last things I remember when I was on watch was the walking on the moon. I was on the evening watch, and then remember hearing about it, and then they had it on the radio up there on deck. We were listening to when he was walking on the moon and everything. I'm like, wow, this is unreal, you know. Yeah. And I think it was a week or two after that, and then I flew to San Francisco.
What did it feel like to step on American soil?
Well, it was pretty good. We came into, when we got into San Francisco and was getting off the plane, I heard this, you probably heard guys about this, but I heard all this big crowd was gathered around. We were coming through these gates, and all of a sudden eggs and tomatoes started flying at us. It wasn't only, there was like, I don't know, few Navy guys, there was some Marines, some Army guys, and but anyway, there was protesters there. That was a big protest period, you know.
So you weren't on a Delta Airlines flight?
No.
They knew it was a military. It was so everyone on that passenger plane was military?
Military, and they were there waiting for us and calling us baby killers and all kinds of names, you know. Had big signs up there. You know.
How close to them? How close to you were they?
Oh, we went through a gate, I don't know, they were probably like over by my garage, you know. You had to walk through this little, it was a fenced in area, and you walk down, like from here out to the mailbox, and you had to walk from there to where they picked you up on a bus. And narrow corridor, and then
you know.
So they were a ways away.
Yeah, they were ways off on the side, but they were.
So they were like 50 feet away from you guys?
Yeah, they started chucking stuff at us and screaming, and I was like, what the hell's going on here, you know?
You didn't expect that.
No, didn't. I didn't get hit by anything, but it was close, you know. I actually had rockets hit the water in front of me and splash water on me that close. That happened a couple times.
You saw eggs and tomatoes splatting on
Yeah.
on the pavement there?
Yeah, I seen a couple guys get hit with eggs.
How many protesters were there?
Oh, there's big groups. I don't know. You know, that deal that happened to us, there's probably 30, I suppose, out there. Something
And they're
like
just
that.
screaming and
Oh
just
yeah,
pissed?
they had signs and screaming baby killers and, well, you know, all kinds of obscenities and
Were
stuff.
they arrested or taken away when they started
Nah,
throwing
they
stuff
were
at you?
shore patrol MPs were there, you know, trying to push them back or whatever, you know. They just told us to keep.
So no one
Heading
got in
down
trouble for throwing eggs and tomatoes at
Yeah,
you?
if they did, we didn't see it. You know, they just told us to keep moving, get down the end of that corridor and get on that bus. And so we moved. You know.
How did you respond emotionally to that homecoming?
It was, it bothered me for quite a while. You know, even months after I was out, you know, I'd tell my friends about it, you know, and they're like, oh, really? I said, yeah. I said, it was terrible. I said, I have dreams about it. It just bothered me, you know, just to see that happening, because you're over there putting your life on the line every day, and you come back and you get treated like that. And it's like most of these people never had nothing to do with the military and never would, you know. And so it kind of bothered you. If it didn't, there was something wrong with you, you know. Bothered me a lot.
You knew there was some controversy about the war.
Oh yeah, we knew all about it, you know. Yeah.
How did you know that out there?
Well, it was, you had radios, you know, everybody had radios and stuff, you know.
And draftees would
Yeah, new
come.
guys would come and they'd tell you what's going on, you know. Protest here, protest there, you know. It was a big deal, you know, back in the States then, you know.
But it took you back. It took you
Oh,
by
yeah.
surprise when you
Well, yeah,
got off
when
and
it
there they
actually
were.
happened to you, you know, it's like, well, this is unreal, you know. Yep, most of the guys, you got R&R when you were waiting to get mustered out too, you know, and go downtown San Francisco, and I did the same thing. I didn't wear uniforms. I wore civilian clothes, civvies we called them, just for that reason, because San Francisco had that big hippie deal going then, you know, Haight-Ashbury and all that stuff. So it was everywhere you went, there was hippies, you know, and they didn't even want to deal with it, so I just wore civvies. You know.
Didn't they know you were a soldier though? 'Cause
Well,
of your
they could
hair?
probably tell by your looks, you know, and everything, but
They didn't mess with you.
no.
But if you would have been wearing your fatigues,
Oh yeah, you'd probably got some bullshit, you know, for sure. Yeah.
I thought you had to wear your fatigues.
Nope, not when you went on leave. Not leave, R&R, you know.
Yeah, a weekend or something.
Yeah, just a day off or two, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was up to you. You could wear uniforms or you didn't have to. Whatever
Were you
want.
also just sort of like, you know, not just the culture shock of coming back to the U.S., but coming back to San Francisco? So like the styles have changed,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
see all these hippies, and you're like, holy cow, what happened to America?
Yeah, this was like, wow, I've heard about this, but I didn't think it would be anything like this, you know. I mean, they were everywhere. It was unreal. Yeah, you could walk downtown and having smoked marijuana quite a bit in Vietnam. I mean, you come around the corner and you smell it big time. You know, and of course there'd be some guys, gals laying against the building or whatever, you know, smoking weed, you know, whatever. Yeah, I've seen that a lot. Pretty normal.
Going to bars here as a single man, did you compare it to
Oh yeah.
the bars out there, and were you like, this is a lot different?
Yeah, most of my buddies in high school, the ones that didn't go in the service, were going to college. Here, a lot of them were going to college at Bemidji State. You know, so we'd all get together and you know, I'd tell them about, you know, the bars over there, and I'd like, these guys are like chasing women here and then never getting lucky. And I said, if I was over in Philippines right now, I wouldn't even have to worry about it, you know. And well, what do you mean? You know, I tell them the stuff, and yeah. So yeah, I was one of the lucky guys when I came out. I actually registered to go to school at BSU, but then my old girlfriend's dad was the superintendent of a pipeline company. It was called Lakehead Pipeline, Enbridge now. And he called me up. I was working at a welding shop in Bemidji here, and he'd told me before I left that when you get out and you don't have any plans, look me up, and I'll find a job for you, you know. And he did, and give me my choice of 5 different places to go. I picked Deer River pump station there for Enbridge, and so I went there, and I had everybody's in school, you know, scraping. I'm sure you went through it, and I had money to burn, you know, because I was single and I was making really good money, you know, at that time for a single guy, and yeah. So I was the guy everybody wanted to gather around, you know, because he had cash.
And would this be the beginning of your career?
Yeah, pretty much, yep. We'd go through these areas where they had dropped the napalm or where Agent Orange had been sprayed previously, and it was like, you'd go through this area, they hadn't done that. Then we come back and they'd done it, and it was just like a wasteland, you know. And Agent Orange was the worst stuff because they'd get the heavy rains all the time and all that would run into the rivers. Well, we bathed in the rivers. And that's why all these guys in the brown water Navy, Gator Navy or whatever start getting all these Agent Orange diseases, you know.
There wasn't a shower in the ship?
Oh yeah, we had showers, but you used the water from the rivers. I went through a real Mickey Mouse filtration system, and then you took a shower with that, and yeah.
So you were exposed to Agent Orange.
Yep.
Is Agent Orange the same thing as napalm?
No, napalm is the explosive
Okay.
that they use. It's a real high intense firebomb is what it is.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
And they dropped napalm and it would just burn everything for a long, real wide radius. Really devastating. It would light the whole place up. We'd watch them jets that come flying over us real low, and then they go into inland wherever they were going and drop them. You could see the whole sky just light up, you know.
And there were Viet Cong in there.
Oh yeah.
So those guys met their fiery
Yep.
death.
Well, they had that tunnel system, you know. I told you about a lot of them would get in them tunnel systems, and that's the only way they could avoid getting themselves killed. Agent Orange was a real bad chemical that they used to kill off all the foliage. I mean, it killed everything. It was just like a real brown, nasty, you know, if you spray it, it's a form of DDT is what it is.
Like Roundup.
Yeah, like Roundup. Basically, I think it's a formula built off of Roundup, and only more intense. And they kept saying that it had no effect to the people that had to deal with it. Well, that, as they find out, turned out to be completely wrong. So, yep.
Is that, you said, what took your brother?
Yep. He was on like a PBR in the same area where I was, and I mean, they swam, they used that water all the time, you know, and it finally got him. I think he was 70 when he died a couple of years ago. He had all kinds of problems.
So it's just a collection of symptoms that
one
best thinks.
They got a big list of diseases now that that they're finally admitting to that are causes of Agent Orange contact.
Is there any fiduciary responsibility on the government's part to compensate people then?
Yep. There's a lot of guys get they get 100% disability, you know, because they have certain diseases that they were able to prove was directly caused from Agent Orange.
But they don't get like a big settlement.
No, they get a monthly deal. My brother Jerry got 100% like a year before he died. This is after he had his veins and his legs stripped, and he came down with diabetes too, and then he had a heart attack, and he had some other minor stuff, skin deals, and So he finally got 100% for about a year before he died.
What killed him?
Heart attack. Finally had a heart attack. He had two mild ones before that, but the third one got him. Yeah.
Do you have any symptoms?
So far I haven't. As a matter of fact, like I told you, I went in for my physical for it yesterday, and I haven't got the blood work yet, but everything so far looks good. So I do it twice a year, and it's usually in the spring or early summer. And
And it's a specific appointment just for Agent Orange.
well,
symptoms.
they look for all these complications associated with Agent Orange, you know.
Oh, so they've
too.
totally accepted that it's a it's a problem.
Yep.
Did you stay in touch with any of the
Yep.
guys from the boat?
Yep, biggest deal I kept in touch with, I actually had 10 years ago, I think it was, maybe 12, something like that. We started having Vietnam reunions, and I've been going to them ever since they started, every 2 years. We have a 3 LST get-together, and it started out probably around a couple hundred guys, but now it's down to every time under 100, because everybody's, you know, they're getting old, they're dying off, Agent Orange killing them, whatever, you know, so.
Boy, that must really be an experience going there and seeing a guy you hadn't seen in 40
Yep.
years.
Yeah, it is. It was real cool.
Is that you?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Oh, somebody told me you were dead. You know, no, I'm still here. Yeah. Well, this guy here is one, he took that $10,000 enlistment,
Oh, okay.
and he went to Long Beach. They called him Sugar Bear. And he went after a year, they sent him back to Vietnam. He's got killed. He's on he went on one of them swift boats, I think. And he got killed on that. Once you start talking to a guy, then the face starts to visually come back to you, you know, which is kind of cool.
Is it touching?
Oh yeah.
Is it moving?
Yep. My wife Karen, she's just overwhelmed. She says, "I can't believe the closeness, camaraderie between all you guys. It's just unreal."
Mm-hmm.
She said, "How everybody is, you know, just together, you know." And like I say, it's getting less and less of us. But every time I go now, it could be your last time, you know.
Is that part of the reason why you wouldn't take it back?
No.
Why you have no regrets?
Oh yeah.
Because
Yep.
you've built those bonds.
Yeah,
you've
we
got
had
those stories.
any not only us guys on Gator Navy, but guys on all branches that were in the service, that especially if they were in combat together, there's just a bond.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to explain, but there's a bond there. You know? And this was done by hand done by ladies across the United States that do it for these old vets. Pretty awesome. All hand stitching. They do it free.
So how'd they find you? How'd they send you one?
Well, we at my reunion in South Carolina, we were at a reunion there, and then we had our dinner. And no, I take that back. It was the one in San Diego. That was 2 years ago. The one in San Diego, and actually my oldest daughter lives there, so I had my daughter and her husband and my 2 granddaughters came to the banquet and everything as guests for me, and then they presented us, surprised all the guys that were there with these, and there was tears all over the place, including me. Yeah, it was pretty moving.
Because what? How did it feel?
Well, it was just felt good to get something like that given to you to honor you, you know, for what you'd gone through, and nobody expected it, you know. It just caught us all off guard, and all my wife and my daughter and my granddaughters were all crying, and yeah, it was something else. I'll remember it for a long time.
Were you resentful at the government?
No,
Any of it?
not really, you know. I never really was that way, you know, because I enlisted, you know. They didn't make me do it. I had a draft number. I probably would have got drafted anyway, but I didn't care. I wanted to go, you know.
So you don't blame the U.S. government for sending the boys over to die? You don't look at it that way?
No, no.
What's your opinion on conflicts since then, though?
A lot of them, I think, are just, they're making the same mistake in Afghanistan and Iraq like they did in Vietnam. They just, they're doing it all wrong, you know.
Oh, so you don't... You mean in the fact that they could have won in Vietnam?
Oh, Vietnam could have been won easily. Like
So
say, when they started doing the bombing of Hanoi and all that, and then they quit because of all the heavy protests, and President Johnson was getting so much static from his colleagues and the American people, and you had all them protests going in all the colleges and everything, and it was just overwhelming. So, yeah, they had no choice, you know.
But are you saying that the same mistake we're making in Iraq and Afghanistan is that we're not going hard enough?
Yeah, they're not going. They go to a point, and then the big deal now is to try and get the Iraqi or the Afghanistan people to do their own thing, like we did in Vietnam. When they pulled us out of Vietnam, they the whole deal was to train the South Vietnamese. To, well, we see how that ended up. Most of the Vietnamese weren't. How would I say this? They weren't as dedicated as the Americans were, you know. There was they had lots of desertions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And,
how does your experience in the military or your views of foreign policy affect your voting today?
oh, excuse me. Sounds good. Thank you. Bye. Yeah, I gotta do my physical. I gotta do therapy because I have this inner ear deal that is Vietnam related, and so I gotta go do. I got Meniere's disease, which is a motion thing.
From being on the boat or from the fire?
Both. Yeah, I got my first time out. I told you when I had the broken toe, I got real seasick, and, and I had the pukes really bad, and I think I did something in my ear. Actually, I get compensated for that on my deal. So yeah. So anyway, that she was calling to set up an appointment.
So the question I asked was, does your experience, your outlook on foreign policy affect how you vote?
Oh, I vote? No, not really. You know, not anything related to Afghanistan or Iraq or Vietnam. No.
But like when America gets involved in, say, Syria or something like that, does that strike home to you because you're a veteran?
Yes and no, I guess. I don't know. You know, all those places are so, it's all so complicated and intense, you know, and I don't really get into it that much.
Do you think the U.S. should take a similar approach and just sort of back off, or do you think there is a place for the U.S. to get involved in foreign issues?
Oh yeah,
like that,
they have their, you know, they have to. They got all these countries that are their, they have to deal with, you know, because of their, they're involved with them, you know, so intensely and stuff. So they have things they got to do. So
you don't respond very strongly anyway if Trump decides, oh, we're going to do something in Syria or not. You don't.
No,
You sleep over it either way.
My wife does. You even say the name Trump, and she just comes unglued. She can't stand him, and I don't really. I'm not big into politics. You know, never have been. So
Okay.
no. I have my opinion on a lot of the stuff, you know, but I pretty much keep it to myself. So yeah.
So do you identify strongly with being a veteran?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like you look yourself in the mirror and you're like, I'm a veteran.
Yep.
That's part of your identity.
I wear the hats and the shirts and everything, you know, because I'm proud of it, you know. And did I kill guys? Probably. You know, do I know that for sure? No, but whatever, you know.
Because you just fired into the brush.
Yeah, I just fired at things fired at me, you know. So whether you killed anybody or not, I don't, you know. I had some of those guys that like these tunnel rats and special services where they'd cut their ears off and stuff like that. You know, we actually carried guys on the boat that had ears.
It was a souvenir.
Yeah, they had ears around their neck in a necklace. I've seen that a couple times. You know, would I had done that? I don't think so. But it happened, you know. So, yeah.
Could you just tell a tunnel rat because they had that look in their eye or
Oh, they
something?
were just, yeah, them guys were just, they wouldn't even, they just
Just
like this, and
assassins,
I'm
huh?
just like, I go right by them, you know, stay away, you know. Different breed. A lot of the special forces guys were real, what'd you say, edgy, you know, when you got around them. When you weren't one of their guys, you know,
How do those guys find a home in civilian life?
probably real tough for a lot of them, you know.
Did you have a tough time adjusting to civilian life?
Yeah, I did. You know, I had the PTSD real bad, and I had it really bad when I got married the first few years. You can ask Karen. It was lots of nights, you know, I'd wake up, you know, screaming or talking, you know, babbling, and it was bad. Yep. Yeah, she thought she married a loony there for a while, so I drank real heavy when I first got out, just trying to deal with all that, you know, and everything, and I finally got it under control. But yeah, most anybody that's been there is, you know, going to have some kind of issues.
What would you wake up from in the middle of the night? Just like you thought you were under fire or something?
Oh yeah, there'd be like, you'd have flashbacks, you know, of maybe when you were getting attacked, or my deal was picking those bodies up really bothered me for a long time.
The ones that were floating in the
Yeah,
water?
floating water deals and the crabs, and you know, sometimes it all just come back at once, you know, and I'd wake up in cold sweats, and you know, wife say I was screaming and beating on the pillow, and you know, stuff like that. A lot of that I don't even remember doing it, you know, but that went on for quite a while.
Years?
Yeah.
Fortunately. Did you get therapy for that, or?
No.
You
I
just-
probably should have. I got letters all the time to go in, you know, and I never did. So same with the Agent Orange. For years, I got Agent Orange screening deals to go to, and I never did it.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother that died, Jerry, actually is the one that talked me into finally going in
Mm-hmm.
and doing it a few years ago. So glad I did.
When you're an old man and you're reflecting on your life, and
I'm there right now.
is that the part of your life that sticks out the most?
Oh yeah, yeah. Probably that. Next, probably having a family, which is really, you know, good experience. But this will always be with me, you know, just because it was such a I don't know, earth-shaking time. You know, it was something that I wanted to do, I had to do, and it could have been different, you know.
Why did you have to do it?
Because I was a true American. I felt that I had to do my part, you know, and so I did it. And I'd do it again, you know. If I could ever get back to being a young man again, which ain't gonna happen. But yep.
Are you a religious man?
So. I'm Catholic. I go to church now and then, but I'm not overly religious, no.
Do you believe in an afterlife?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Do you have visions of it reuniting you with some of those guys?
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, that'd be cool. Just like family that's gone, friends, you know.
Mhm.
It's oh yeah, I believe in that. Definitely. Yep.
So on your gravestone will be a veteran distinction,
Yep. Absolutely.
and that's appropriate. I
Yep.
mean, that's what you want to be remembered
That's what
by.
I want. Yep. I'm gonna get cremated, but I'll have a, you know, the veterans plaque deal down there. And, yep. I already got my plot over in Mimer Cemetery, so I'm prepared.
With plenty of time.
Plenty of time, I hope.
Plenty of time.
70 now, but you never know.
Mm.